This video answers the question, what can I do when my office romance becomes a distraction for others, namely my teammates and my boss? Knowing what to do in this case is important because it causes friction at the office, which is never good news for your chances of landing that promotion and pay raise you so want. This video will show you the exact step-by-step action you need to take to fix this office romance boss problem. So let the big fix continue. The Big Fix is the name of the second part of this Sex and the Workplace deck. In the first part, we mapped and deep dived into all the 7+1 office romance boss problems, and here we are fixing them one by one. The Big Fix is a guided, detailed, goal-oriented, step-by-step journey back to restoring your eligibility after your office romance has rendered you unpromotable and unpay-raisable, which this video is going to fix. Journey is such an overused word these days. I hate using it, but here it is very appropriate so. Today we are fixing Office Romance Boss Problem number 2, you become a distraction for others. In the original video, we have seen how you are a focal point at the office, but of the wrong kind. Not for some professional acumen, excellence and achievements, but for your love life exacerbated by the grapevine you have propelled through your suggestive rapport with Schmoopy at the office. If you've missed that video or if you'd like a reminder, check it out here before watching this one. For everybody else, let's fix it so you can once again be eligible for that promotion and pay raise you so want. Stick around, it'll be worth your time. Hi, I'm the Boss Problem Buster, founder of the Pay Raise Commando, a senior organizational consultant of 24 years, having worked across cultures, industries, and ranks with 7,250 employees trained between us, my team and I. I'm also a social psychologist with a master's and a bachelor's degrees, both with honors. My team and I train passed over corporate professionals like you to get that pay raise and promotion you're overdue for, so that you can finally kill your Monday blues before you sink further and bring your inner joy back, which is the best part of my job and the goal of this channel. Kill your Monday blues and bring your inner joy back. So, if you'd like to get a promotion with a pay raise or a pay raise independent of a promotion, kill your Monday blues and bring your inner joy back, and if you can handle the truth, you can't handle the truth. I'm channeling Jack Nicholson. Then subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so that we can meet again. Now, back to the salt mines. Hey Busters, welcome back. Let's get straight to it. Today we are fixing Office Romance Problem number 2. You become a distraction for others. The fix here is shift, communicate, manage. So 3 parts to this fix. Each is built on the foundation of the previous one, so they need to be executed consecutively. I will thoroughly explain each and every part of this fix and give you the exact step-by-step action you need to take to best execute them to make you once again eligible for that promotion and pay raise you so want. Part 1 of the Shift, Communicate, Manage fix is shift. Shift your attitude in regards to what is private and what is not with your office romance. What will hinder this part of the fix? Thinking your office romance is your private business only. What will help with this part of the fix? Realizing it is not and understanding why. Right off the bat, let's see what is private and get it out of the way. Needless to say, the intimate details of your office romance are and always will be your private business. That's not the issue. Let's see what is. There are actually 3 separate but intertwined issues here. Somehow everything in the world is always divided into 3. So, number 1, not only is your office romance not your private business exclusively, but it is actually everybody's business at the office, from your teammates to your boss and depending on the situation, sometimes even your clients and vendors, if you can believe it, and you should. Why? Because it affects them. And when something affects people, it is only natural they will react one way or another. Which brings us to the second issue. People have the right to react because the effect of your office romance is not only real, but is mostly negative. It interferes negatively with everybody's day-to-day life at the office, both professionally and interpersonally, either overtly or covertly, which is actually worse. So, of course they react. And of course their reaction is mostly on the negative side. We have detailed this whole messy situation in the original video here. And finally, the third issue. The mere reaction of everybody at the office to your budding relationship with your coworker is not in and of itself wrong or mean or reprehensible, not in and of itself. Why? Because, well, first of all, people have the right to form opinions about anything and everything, your office romance included, but more specifically to the point, people have the right because your coworker love is imposed on them. It is you and Schmoopy whom are putting a relationship in everybody's face, not the other way around. So don't you dare shift the blame to them. You are not the victim here. If anything, you are the victimizer. So you need to completely shift your attitude. Hence the shift in this shift, communicate, manage, fix. You do this shift in 3 steps. Threes again. Shift in your point of view, shift your attitude, and shift your behavior. Let's expand on that. Shifting your point of view from that of yours only, both you individually and you two as a couple, so from that of yours only to that of your teammates and boss's point of view. The good news is that you have already done this. This was the linchpin of our entire analysis throughout the first part of this deck, so you have this step covered. Now you can build on that with the second step. Shift your attitude from perplexion at your teammates and bosses' less than enthusiastic reactions to your office romance. Why are they so mean to us? What's the big deal? Why can't they just be happy for us? To an understanding and an acknowledgement of why it is so. Oh, that's why. Now we get it. It's because from their point of view, everything we are and do as a couple creates an awful lot of boss problems. 7 + 1 to be exact. And now the final touch, step 3. Shift your behavior. Use steps 1 and 2 as your guiding light as to how to handle yourselves as a couple around the office, namely, act consciously to reduce any potential point of contention that stems from having a relationship with a coworker. How exactly? By implementing every fix that is relevant to your specific situation as being detailed in the second half of the deck named the Big Fix. If you do that, you will have almost automatically shifted everybody's pet peeve about you into an almost non-issue. The beauty of it is that instead of being oblivious and clueless as you were before, you can now be proactive in shaping how everybody at the office is relating and reacting to you as a couple. In other words, you get to be in control, which is a game changer for any ambitious professional as you are. Plus, shifting your behavior in all the many ways the Big Fix determines will undo, unless for some extreme circumstances. So shifting your behavior will undo the damage your office romance had to your chances for that promotion and pay raise you so want, which is exactly what this is all about. So that was the shift part of this fix. Shift, communicate, manage. Shift your point of view, shift your attitude, shift your behavior. Now to part 2 of this fix, shift, communicate, manage, communicate. Communicate the nature of your relationship to your teammates and boss. What will hinder this part of the fix? Thinking you can hide it, you cannot. What will help with this part of the fix? Realizing you are not good enough actors. Sorry to potentially dampen your artistic sensibility, guys, but you are not. Everybody knows something is going on with you two. There are 4 issues here. Finally, something exists in the world that does not come in threes. What a relief. The 4 issues are A, why you need to communicate the nature of your relationship to your teammates and boss. B, the strategy for this communication. C, the exact timing. And D, communicate the end as well. Let's check each issue out. A, why do you need to communicate the nature of your relationship to your teammates and boss? Because, well, 2 reasons: control and pragmatism. You want to take control over any bit of information that has to do with you as an individual and now as a couple too. If you don't, people will project their ideas onto you. Why would you let this happen? It is never good. People will wittingly and unwittingly twist and distort who you really are, and that would drive you mad. You want that promotion and pay raise. You cannot afford not being in control of your image and the brand that stems from it. We expand on fixing your brand here. And in regards to pragmatism, if you can't beat them, join them. From the moment you and Schmoopy were on each other's radar, everybody knew something was going on, and those who didn't know suspected, i.e. the co-workers and colleagues who don't work as closely with you. How could they possibly know? Well, people who spend the better part of the day with you every day, sometimes for years, have you all figured out. They know your gaze, they know your patterns of speech, like a tone of voice or degree of matter-of-factness, for example. They know all that through your interactions with them as dispassionate co-workers. Therefore, it is easy for them to detect the difference when you gaze at or speak with Schmoopy, even when the difference is subtle because you are trying to hide it. It might be embarrassing for you to acknowledge this fact, because it's always unsettling to realize you are exposed when you think you are being discreet. Nevertheless, this is the truth. Simply realize it. That's it. You should consider the same type of communication to clients and vendors, and for the same reasons. Here are the three, of course, considerations for making this call. 1. Both you and Schmoopy are working closely with these clients and vendors on a regular basis. 2. There is a camaraderie between all of you that has expanded from the strictly professional to the personal. And 3. They are working closely with other members of your team as well, so they are bound at some point to be exposed to or even intentionally included in the grapevine loop. If all these considerations apply, communicate your relationship to them as well. I will give you exact step-by-step actions on this topic as well, but because of time constraints, we'll do so in the next video. Now to the second issue out of 4 of this communicate part of the shift, communicate, manage fix. The strategy for this communication, and that is be ahead of the story. Communicate sooner rather than later. What will hinder this part of the fix? Letting your potential discomfort at coming out to your teammates and boss make you wait too long. What will help with this part of the fix? Realizing the grapevine is always there, percolating at the background about you and Schmoopy. Being ahead of the story is a PR, public relations term, meaning you proactively move the narrative, which is another PR term, which means the story you want people to know about the issue at hand. In this case, it means you are taking control over what people think is going on with you and Shmoopy. The principle here is that for every conflict you ever encounter in the workplace, which is what you have right now with your teammates and boss, even if covert. So for every conflict you ever encounter in the workplace, you should never let others beat you to defining the narrative. And by the way, this is true in life as general as well. This principle is based in human psychology and cognition. The first party, it's the Marx Brothers bit again, the first party to present a compelling story, or even just any reasonable story, gets a huge leg up towards winning the conflict, at least in terms of public opinion. Why? Because the first story will operate as a cognitive anchor. And once it is lodged into people's minds, it is very hard to dislodge it. In other words, if you don't tell your teammates and boss your story, the grapevine will do it for you. This can never be good for you because the grapevine is like a game of telephone. Each time a rumor is relayed, it gets distorted further and further. Thus, for example, if a rumor starts with, hey, Jack and Jill have the hots for one another, within 2 or 3 people, it will evolve into Jack and Jill are getting married. And by the end of business that day, it will be Jill is pregnant with Joe's baby and Jack doesn't know about it. Which is why you want to get ahead of the story and make sure the cognitive anchor is your version of the story. Now to the third issue out of 4 of the communicate part of the shift, communicate, manage, fix. And that is exact timing. What will hinder this part of the fix? Stressing over it and second guessing yourself once you have decided to do it. What will help with this part of the fix? Realizing there can never be perfect timing for coming out as an office romance to your teammates and boss. This one is tricky. Finding the right timing here is hard because you are torn between not wanting to get too ahead of the story when you yourselves are not even sure what is going on and where exactly it will lead, but also wanting to be in control of how and when it happens rather than having to deal with a raging grapevine fire dumpster. So what do? Unfortunately, there is no exact formula here. Your timing would not and could not ever be perfect. Why? Because the natural progression of your relationship is such that it takes too long to be sure of it if you do it right, by implementing the fixes we have discussed in the bonus fix video. Check it out here if you've missed it. But if you take your time as you should in terms of the relationship, that is too long to keep the grapevine from erupting. Indeed, you need to first be sure of your own feelings towards your coworker, then look for cues in their behavior when they interact with you to see if it is mutual. Then you need to progress slowly because you don't want to screw your place of work up by being embarrassed or humiliated with a public rejection or, God forbid, be charged with sexual harassment. Then you need to come out to one another. Then you need to be going out for a while to see if that is even working out. So that's 5 steps or stages right there before you can even consider coming out to everybody at the office, let alone being ready to do it. But by that time, the grapevine is already raging, and everybody knows or suspects or speculates behind your back or even teases you to your face. What a mess! However, I cannot just leave you like this, hanging out to dry with no solution. So here's my advice. 3 steps. Freeze again. Told you. 3 steps. A. Come to terms with the fact that you will never be able to completely hide your interest in your coworker, nor be able to completely avoid the gossip. So it is a mitigation game, not a win-lose game. B. Mitigate the situation by being extremely discreet. Whatever you think extremely discreet is, push yourself to an even more extreme degree than that. And C. Once you and Schmoopy have already come out to one another, if at all possible, minimize your professional and physical and temporal time, interface and interaction at the office. For example, if at all possible, take on different tasks and projects. Take lunch at different times. Arrive and leave separately and at different times. Work remotely or at least part of the time. Take a day off alternately. If Schmoopy is there, you are not, and vice versa. Yes, it will cost you time off of your vacation allotment. Yes, it's a shame to spend it on your own. Yes, you will be apart during most of the day, i.e. business hours. But these are very small prices to pay for the huge benefit of keeping your job, keeping your eligibility for that promotion and pay raise you so want, and for keeping the grapevine to a minimum. This leaves us with the 4th and last issue in the communicate part of the Shift, Communicate, Manage fix. Wow, we've managed a lot today. Good for us. And of course, there's also the manage part in the Shift, Communicate, Manage fix. Both are crucial, so I would hate to rush through them or skimp on the step-by-step actions they offer, because I know those exact steps would add that much more value to you as you work your way back to eligibility after your office romance has rendered you unpromotable and unpay-raisable, which this video, as part of the big fix, has helped you fix. So we'll call it a day. And if you appreciate this massive work and would like to see more, you know the drill, but I'll say it anyway. Subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so that we can meet again. Join me next time when the big fix continues, and until then, go back to work. You know I can't help you get that promotion and pay raise if you don't actually do the job.